Good evening. My name is Derwin Allen. I will be presenting for you all today the Maximizing Financial Plan workshop. I wanted to start by saying thank you to Lauren Thrash for organizing this. I also wanted to say that I am a firm supporter of the sisterhood that you guys have because I looked into you guys and it's really wonderful what you're doing for the communities, all the fundraising you do, all the events, especially stuff for education and scholarship programs is really beautiful. So I'm really proud and happy to do this workshop for you all. So we're going to start with the first slide. Here we go. So first slide pretty much is the macro manager slide, which is pretty much talking about essentially the different type of people who will help you manage your money, your finances, from accountants to mortgage bankers. Everyone does different things. You wouldn't have your real estate agent do your taxes. You wouldn't have your insurance agent, help you with a trust or a will. Everyone has their own specialties, and we want to make sure we get people for the right job. And we also want to make sure that we have the best people for every job, so we're making the best safe and trusted decision for ourselves. That's the main part of maximizing our financial plan is making sure we secure the best things for ourselves so we have a great retirement, great financial future. So now on the next slide, we're going to talk about different types of financial planners. So a CPA is a certified public accountant. This is like a trusted financial advisor who can help you do your taxes, help you plan for financial wealth in the future with businesses, anything like that. These are kind of like all-around people. You'll see them a lot. The next one is EA, which is a enrolled agent. These are people pretty much who are tax practitioners licensed at the federal level by the IRS. You don't see this too often. The most common one you'll see is the CFP. The CFP is pretty much a certified financial planner. Now, these are people who you'll see the most of. They pretty much do everything from helping you understand how to invest, what to invest in, and all those types of things. Then you have JDs, which is a juris doctor. This is an academic term for a law degree. They pretty much practice like tax law. They have their own kind of branches and stuff like that. They're all varying different degrees. The most uncommon one, personally, that I think is the CHFC, which is a chartered financial consultant. You're not really going to see this one. It's rare. It's just like a CFP, except they don't take the comprehensive board exam. They go through school for it. They do a lot more stuff. It's like 9 tests they have to take. So it's a little bit different. Then you have licenses for everything from life, accident and health, property and casualty. You'll notice like most CFPs have life, accident and health insurances. Their licenses under that. And then the payment types. So fee based is they are only paid by fees paid by people. And then you have asset management. These people are paid from the total assets they handle. So if you have, a couple $100,000, they get paid off of what you have and how they manage that money. And then commission is when they buy and sell your stuff. So if anyone's ever used an app called Stash or Acorns or even something like Robinhood, sometimes those things are like a small fee base where you pay like $1 a month to use the app or however much. Some of them use commission where it's like when you buy a little stock of like Apple or 3M or whatever have you, they get a little bit of money from that sell or that buy. So those are the 3 different types of payments for services, which is kind of nice that you have a little bit of variety for what you can do and people who can help you. But as I said, the most common is definitely the CFP. And so we're going to move on to the common financial myths. Mainly here I want to talk about is compound interest, because compound interest versus simple interest is really, I think it's something special just because simple interest is only paid on the principal of what you have, and compound is paid on the principal plus all of the interest that you have previously earned. So it's like you're maximizing your money for whatever you have invested in, and it's really great. So it's something that people really need to look into when they're talking to CFPs or CPAs or whoever about their money. A lot of what we do here at the foundation is we help people understand these things. And that's the best part about working here for me personally is just like we get to help people understand their money and how to best use it. I've met a lot of clients or a lot of people who They come in and they're really like worried or concerned about what we do and how we do things. And it just feels good to help reassure them that, like, like we're here to help you and understand, like, how to find the best things to invest in, how to maneuver through things. If you want to refinance a house, is it the right time to? Is it the right time to invest in this or that? How to plan for college. Um, and speaking of college, college planning is something that everyone wants to do as a parent. Like when you have your first kid, people usually are the first thought is like, how to take care of them. You're reading books about it, and I think that's a really beautiful thing is just to be a parent. And college planning is something that is beyond like 529 plans. It's just beyond like saving a little bit of money. It's about thinking about room and board, thinking about, the location of the school, private university, public university. A lot goes into that. So it's not just like, all right, I'll pay tuition and you're good. Like room and board is a real thing. Paying for laptops, books, supplies, anything else. There's a lot to worry about, especially as a young college student that most kids are. And now we're going to talk about debt management. Um, Usually, when it comes to debt management, people think like combining your smaller loans into a bigger one, which is debt consolidation, is the best option for yourself. I personally don't believe that. I think if you're willing and able, you can really like break down things, budget efficiently, and help break things down for yourself. Where it's like if you have credit card debt, student loan debts, pay off the credit card first, work on the student loan debt over time, because it takes a lot of time to pay on those things. Those things linger for people, most of their lives as you're working and making more money. So it's okay to not get into these big debt consolidations. And the average rate of return versus real estate. The average rate of return is it varies every year, especially when it comes to banking. If you look at what happened with banks between the shift between 2019 and 2020, a lot of banks sent people emails letting them know that the rate of return for savings accounts went from 2.2 to 1.75, and it doesn't seem like a large number, but it's a big difference when it comes to your savings. So you want to look at things that have compound interest. You want to look at CDs or whatever investment accounts you can. Um, and also, when it comes to real estate, right now it's a seller's market, especially during this pandemic. It's really wild. I was looking at houses, I believe last week, just looking all over the place. I saw like a house for $89,000, like a really nice old fixer upper. And I think those are the best type of houses to get because they have character as opposed to like a brand new townhome for $400,000. So on to the next slide. So what's $1 million really worth? That is a big question to ask people because what happens when people get $1 million? Let's say someone hits the lottery. What usually happens is those people go broke. You make $1 million and you kind of don't account for taxes, whether you inherit that money or it's something that you've earned. There's still taxes you have to pay on that money sometimes. So, in the likelihood that someone has won the lottery, congratulations to them. But one of the big things people get caught up on in their celebration is that they don't set aside the right amount of money for their taxes, so they end up paying. So they just spend all their money willy nilly. I mean, I would too. I'd buy like a boat, a car, an island, or something. However much the Powerball is, that's how much I would probably try to blow through in the amount of time I have. But it's like you have to set aside the right amount of money for taxes because as soon as you make $1 million, your tax bracket increases. Whether you inherit that money, whether your kids inherit that money, $1 million can be worth a lot less when taxes hit or, maneuvering things and fees and stuff like that. A lot of things that change all the time are taxes and inflations. We can't control inflation. We can't control, a lot of the things that happen with money, but we control our taxes and how we maneuver doing those things. We can control our fees, our risk level. These are important things that we try to take account of here at the foundation. We're working with people. It's just like how to make sure you have your ducks in a row when it comes to taxes and how to handle inflation, how to make sure your assets are protected and you're maneuvering the right way. When it says retirement life is extending beyond 25 years, that literally means like people are living a lot longer. So you want to make sure you've planned your assets and your finances, accordingly to where people are living to like hundreds of years old. I have a person I work with who she's 79 years old. She's a real estate agent, and she's still kicking butt. Like she's buying homes from like Maryland to Florida and just renting stuff and flipping houses, and she's kind of an inspiration to see just because she's super like bubbly and like just a really high energy person, and you would never guess she's 79. So it's inspiring to see someone like hustling and working like that. But not everyone wants to work past, like 56 or 62. So it varies for everyone. Long term return on savings pretty much just goes back to what I was saying in the previous slide about pretty much just average rate of return. So even if you have like a 1.75 return on your savings account or your CD, you want to make sure you keep it in there because long-term gains are a really great thing. It may look like, you're not getting much dividend in the moment, but over time, it adds up to a lot, and that's the really beautiful thing about it. Even right now with the pandemic and the stock market has crashed a couple times and people are panicking and worrying like, oh, I'm losing money. I've lost this and that. I think the first week of the pandemic when it like really hit kind of hard and people were, you know, the stock market crashed and they halted it and they tried to bounce it back. Uh, I think people, if you had like $1 million in like a TSP or a savings account or whatever have you, you lost like $70,000 and people are panicking. They're pulling money out. They're getting early penalties. They're pulling money out early. We always want to think long term, think the long game. I kind of think of finances like chess. You have to make the right move at the right time. You have to think about the end game. You always want to think about checkmate and the best way to maneuver through things. If you think about like the first move is just like to pull all your money out, you're going to incur like penalties. It messes up your long-term savings goals. It messes up a lot of things you're working for the future and and at the end of the day, your retirement. So strategic allocation. This is a part of long-term, um, and this is a good thing because, like I said, long-term goals are important. When you strategically allocate things in different types of funds or ETFs or, in certain things, you're being strategic about your money. Then you have asset allocation. This is pretty much like your short term goals when you're putting money in a savings account for, you're saving up for a nice trip to Aruba, or you want to go to Hawaii, or you just want to buy like a really nice candle from somewhere, or get a new piece of furniture. Those are short term things. Um, I always think that we should always think about the long term first and then the short term second. All right, so the next slide we have here are your exit strategies. So the withdrawal pecking order. This means essentially uh, what accounts should you be withdrawing from first? What is your plan of attack for, making sure you're not pulling out too much money? How to make sure that you are pulling out from the right things at the right time, that you're not giving any fees to yourself, stuff like that. And this is all situational. These are things that we can help you figure out. A lot of what we do here is essentially just sitting down with people on the verge of retirement and being like, all right, you're retiring in June. It's a wonderful time. I'm happy for you, and they'll tell us they have these accounts, they have this much money, they want to do this. So our main goal is essentially just to get these people to have their ducks in a row. Um, and that's a part of plan evolution is initially the plan that you have, you could learn it from your CPA, your accountant, your best friend, your brother, your husband, whoever. It's always good to have a second set of eyes, especially when it comes to your finances and retirement. Because when you think about it, right, you don't always go with the first thing someone tells you. Like if someone tells you to go see like the new movie that came out, whatever it may be, like, oh, it's a really great movie. You ask someone else, they say it's okay. So you have two different opinions, and then you can make your own based off of that. So a lot of what we do is pretty much helping people make the smartest decision for themselves based on what they tell us, what they have, all those things. Um, so what's on the mind of the retired is pretty much just talking about like, do you want to travel? How do you want to live your life? How do you want to spend your money? Are you a moderate spender? Are you conservative? Do you just like to go on trips wherever you want to, go to Vegas, gamble, do whatever you want to do? A lot of that is thinking about pretty much that's a lot of what exit strategy is thinking about is what are you going to do once you're not working? A lot of people that we interact with here, they're moving away. They're going to Florida. They want to be in the sun because here in Maryland and like the DC area, like it's kind of gloomy right now. It's been gloomy kind of all day. It rained a little bit, but you think about Florida, it's wonderful, sunshine most of the time, clear skies. A lot of people definitely want to go there when they retire. Um, Me personally, when I retire, I want to move to somewhere with a beach, build a cabin, maybe make candles or something. I don't know. Anything that smells nice is appealing to me. All right, so asset protection and tax sheltering. I kind of bundle these two things together because tax sheltering is something that can go into your whole estate. This is not just something that is specifically for you. You can do it for your kids with estate planning. You can do it for your grandkids, whoever else. And same thing with asset protection by putting things into trust or wills or making sure you're leaving things to the right people. A lot of the times people don't have wills for themselves, and I think a will is kind of an essential thing. A will doesn't just determine what happens to you when you pass, but also while you're living. It determines who controls your finances and anything happens to you. How do you want food and water administered to you? A lot of things. And once again, we try to be a jack of all trades kind of nonprofit where we can help people understand these things, guide them on the process. And tax sheltering, essentially, that's estate planning. Estate planning is the planning of pretty much everything you own, down to shoes on your feet, your favorite socks, your mom's ring, pretty much how it's dispersed, how it's handled, who does it go to? Does it go to a charity? Does it go to your kids? Is it broken up in thirds? So pretty much you want to make sure that you have these things in place because once you retire and once you stop working, you don't want to run out of anything. You don't want to have anything misplaced. You want to have all your ducks in a row and make sure that you have the best plan for yourself. And the next slide. So where do we go from here? Like I said in the last slide, the second set of eyes thing is really important. Even if it's just asking for assistance and trying to understand your own plan. Have you budgeted correctly? Have you figured out, if it's the right move for you to get the car right now? Is it the best time for you to refinance your house? Who can you talk to? Did you do your taxes correctly? Are you sure? Like, it's always good to have that second opinion because, you can never just trust just that one thing. And us here, we're always glad to be able to assist people in whatever means possible. I've helped I've helped a good amount of people just like figuring out like something simple as like where to buy cabinets from Home Depot or like um anything really. So it's like we're always glad just to have people reach out and talk to us and communicate. Communication is one of the biggest things that people can really take in right now, especially during the pandemic and everyone's social distancing. So it's always good to just communicate with someone about something, especially get a second opinion on your finances, any situations you have going on. So the philosophy of finances is pretty much don't focus on what you can't control. We can control our risk, which means like, are you the type of person who's conservative, moderate? Are you an aggressive person? Okay, and our fees meaning like when it comes to like if the fees on your accounts, when it comes to if you're doing transactions or if you're doing anything that comes to your investments, or even like a bank. Some banks charge you a monthly fee, an annual fee. These are things that we want to make sure that we can control ourselves. And we control our taxes by being aware of how much money we're taking out and pretty much from all our retirement accounts. Like if you pull out 70,000 from an IRA account or any retirement account that you have, that can put you in a higher tax bracket than you were initially in, making you pay more taxes. You could owe more on your IRS returns, all types of stuff. Um, we can't control the market, so we can't control what goes up or what goes down. We can't control inflation. These things are kind of destined to happen. We can't control the way taxes maneuver, so they can go up, and they're already guaranteed to go up in the next 5 years, which is sad to say, but that's just kind of how taxes are at times. So right now is the best time to maneuver and do anything really, whether it's converting something to Roth, taking out a traditional so you can not have to pay the fees on it later on or pay taxes on it later on, or just starting to maneuver money the right way and figure out the best game plan for yourself. It's never too late for anyone to restart or to start doing something for themselves when it comes to their financial plan, whether it's learning how to budget, asking questions, getting that second opinion. And then at the top, we have government service. So essentially, with this one, it just means that the government isn't really giving out advice to people who aren't government employees. They don't really provide much financial advice to anybody. I can name a good handful of people that I've worked with who are federal employees, and when they start working or they started working, they get hired, and the HR person's like, "Here's your login. You start getting the building. Off you go." And they don't really do much after that because most of the times when you get hired, HR is too busy putting out the old fires of having someone transition out and retiring. So essentially, all I'm saying is that people who are retired, they're too busy trying to handle, how to help them get how to help them get their pensions, how to help them transition out of their federal employee life insurance and stuff like that. They're a lot of time human resources is tied up with putting out old fires, and they don't see the new ones starting. Where it's like new federal employees aren't trained that well in their jobs, or even how to handle their TSPs or anything like that. They don't understand the funds, so they have to, Google it, and it's hard to Google something that's already kind of convoluted, especially something like what's the C fund and the G and the L and the I. These are things that we definitely can help you with. We have specialized people who are federal benefit specialists. We have people who are estate planners. We have people who are tax specialists. Um, Pretty much anything that anyone would need when it comes to giving the second set of eyes on something, we have someone for that, which is the real beauty of it, honestly. And I think that one of the most important things when it comes to maximizing your plan is being aware of your relationship with money. A lot of us aren't raised to really think about, how to save. We're not really taught that. It's something that you kind of learn going from job to job or just like in your own experiences. Your relationship with money can really determine how you save, how much you save, what you do with your money when you get your paycheck. Do you spend more? Do you prioritize things? And that's something that I personally sit down and talk to people about is their relationship with their money. Because usually, if it's a bad one, the best thing to do is to just revisit and look at things in your life and why you feel that way about it. Why do you feel like you can spend that much money? Why do you want to save that much? And when you focus on the goals for things, it pretty much helps you understand, why you need to save and how you should save. Saving for college, saving for anything you want to do when it comes to like renovations, taking care of your own personal health, your well-being, or just having that cushion. It's always good to have a cushion for yourself. I think that's really important. Um, so let me see here. Is it the last slide? It is. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to type those in the chat box. And if you don't have any right now in this moment, there will be a time for you to put them on your survey at the end of this. As I said before, I really do appreciate everything you guys do as a sisterhood. I think it's a beautiful message what you guys do. Um, as a person who's been like helping communities and being a part of the local community and stuff like that around here, I really appreciate that. It's such a strong sisterhood that does that, and it's not just one chapter; it's like all over. Because it's really good, especially in a time like this, to know that there's like a community helping people, doing things for people, raising awareness for things from like heart disease to just education in certain areas. Because growing up, a lot of us don't understand the benefit of saving money or even financial literacy. And I think from a young age, for me personally, I started to ask questions about what a 401k was or how to save money, especially when I started working, because no one taught me. No one told me, what a stock was, what an ETF was, what a mutual fund was. And so it's really beautiful to see that there's a sisterhood like this one that's, willing to help people and be dedicated to finances and their community. I think that's a really beautiful thing. So once again, my name is Derwin Allen. I work at the Foundation for Financial Education. I'm the case manager here. I don't think I said that before, but I love what I do here. Thank you all for attending this webinar. It's been really nice talking to you all. Thank you so much. You guys have a good one.